So I get a phone call. Dave calls me. He says, hey man, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick the hottest, most humid, and then it's gonna be the rainiest, most disgusting day. All summer long. And we're gonna invite these people to the share. And these are gonna be the coolest real estate agents that are out there. And what we're gonna do is you're like this motivational speaker guy. I've heard, he goes, I read your bio, I heard about you, Greg talked about you, you've spoken in every state in the United States of America, you've spoken to over 200,000 mortgage and real estate professionals. So then we're gonna invite you out there, man, and you're gonna get these people right in the middle of the summer doldrums when they're just like, oh, I'm just tired of sweating, and you're gonna pump them up because you're a motivational speaker guy. And I said, no. Because I'm not a motivational speaker. I really don't think I'm a motivator. I think I'm a practical speaker. I think you're already motivated. I think the reason you came here today is because you want to learn something to be able to get better at what you're doing. So you're already motivated. You don't need me to motivate you. He's like, I came for a free lunch. But the rest of you are like, hey man, I'm looking to get motivated. Yeah. See, I was in Chicago. This wasn't this past trip, but it was about 2 years ago. And I was on the stage. We had 200 real estate agents in the audience. And what happened was there were 3 motivational speakers on the stage. The first one was the owner and the creator and the president of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. How many of you ever had Sweet Baby? That's good stuff, right? You know, that's good. And he stands up, he says, I'm the owner, I'm the creator, I'm the president of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, and my name is Larry. So what happened, because nobody wants to say nothing, right? Nobody wants Larry's barbecue. So he talks about, well, my baby brother Ray, what he did, everybody loved him, so we named the company after him. But I tell you what, when I grew up in Chicago, we didn't have a lot of money, but we were rich in barbecue. And every Sunday, everybody came over to our house because they wanted to have our barbecue. And if you cut me right here, you don't get, don't do that the knife, but if you cut me right here, you don't get blood. You know what you get? Barbecue sauce. So you do what you were born to do. You don't take no for an answer. There's nothing you can't accomplish. We all heard that speaker before, nothing, yeah. Next speaker gets up. Olympic swimmer. She won the silver medal. Her name? I don't remember, it was just a silver medal. So what happens is, and nobody remembers second, my friends, do they? No, they're not gonna remember second. She says, when I was a little girl and I got sick, they sent me to the hospital and the doctor said, I don't know if you're ever gonna walk again. And I said, I don't care, because I was born to swim. You see, if you cut me right here, you don't get blood. You know what you get? You get seawater, so you do what you were born to do. You don't take no for an answer. There's nothing you can't accomplish. And it was at that very moment I said, I do not belong on this stage. Do what you're born to do. Y'all know what I do for a living? I sell mortgage insurance. Do what you're born to do. You cut me, you know what you get? 300 pages of underwriting guidelines. That's what you get. But how many of you, when you were 10 years old, wrote, Dear Diary, when I grow up, I'm going to be a real estate agent? Most of you probably woke up this morning and said, how the hell did this happen? You know, I mean, that's sort of where we are. So when we try to figure out, it's not about doing what you were born to do, because if we all did what we were born to do, we'd probably all be owning bars. So what we really have to do is figure out, you know, hey, this is what I do, how can I do it just a little bit better? And the trick to figure out how to do it a little bit better is the first thing you have to admit is that you're doing it just a little bit wrong. And that's not your fault, because you were told, you were trained, and you were spoken to do it wrong in the first place. And I don't care, no offense to Holland Mortgage Advisors, y'all are doing it wrong. No offense to Genworth, you're doing it wrong. No offense to the person who's taking the SIP, that's the first way that I'm going to look at you. Where do you work? What's the name of the company?
One Realty.
Doing it wrong. Hey, any of your parents? You're doing it wrong, okay, right? I mean, because we all went to the same school. I'm not trying to insult anybody, we're all doing it wrong. Because we went to this school, and the school said you're supposed to work hard. Have you all been told at some point in your life work hard? Of course, because if you work hard, then you can find what?
Success.
Success. See, we all went to the same school. If you work hard, you'll find success. And once you're successful, then you can go be happy. And that's a crock. Dude, I know you're a freshman, you just finished your freshman year in college. That's a lie. Okay, that is totally not true. And the reason that I know that that's not true is why? Because let's go talk to the big man back here, man. He's like, look at me, he's like, this is my ring. Okay, so what happens is, has anybody, who's in that, who works, does anybody in this room work for you? Julie. Steven. Yeah, I'm going with Julie, because that's all we're here first. Hey, Julie, has he ever said, Hey, you're working hard. Does she work hard?
She works hard, yes.
Is she good at her job?
She is.
Have you ever said you've been working hard, you're very good at your job, so go take 6 months and go be happy? No, he's never said that a day in his life. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what he said, because I know what school he went to. Julie, what does he say as soon as you find success? Once you start to find success, what are you supposed to do?
Work harder? Yeah.
Boom! See, we all went to the same school. As soon as we start to find success, they go, if you just work a little harder, you could be a little more successful. And what do? We get caught in the loop. We get caught in the loop that does what? Prevents us from ever getting to where we want to be, which is happiness. The question is, how do we get there? I know you go to Brown, but this guy went to Harvard. Professor Sean Acker. Professor Sean Acker does what? He's the professor of happiness at Harvard University. He says this module is wrong. What you actually need to do is you need to go be happy first. Because happy people, they're what? They're more intelligent, they have more information, they have more knowledge. When you have more intelligence, more information, and more knowledge, it allows you to apply it creatively. When you're more creative with the information and the knowledge that you have, what happens? You become a better performer. So in order to be what? A better real estate agent, a better loan officer, a better parent, all you have to do is go be happy. Which begs this question. Who in this room knows how to be happy? In a non-pharmaceutical sense, okay? There's a pill for that, okay? So that's sort of where we are. Now, the beauty of all of that is what Professor Sean Acker says, actually, you can instill the habit of happiness within yourself. If you do these 5 things for 21 days, 5 things for 21 days, you can instill the habit of happiness within yourself. All you have to do is find what? All you have to do is find 3 things you're grateful for every day. When I heard that rain pounding against the window and on the roof this morning, you know what I was grateful for? That I wasn't homeless. I was going, my gosh, and then I was saying, I'm really glad I have a job, and I'm very glad I have 3 things. All you gotta do, 3 things that are good about your life. Most of us wake up and what do? We flip on the TV, and what happens? Everybody's fighting and arguing on the TV, saying, oh my God, they're wrong. Oh my God, this is a problem. Wake up and say, here's 3 good things in my life every day. And then after you do that, we have to what? Exactly what this guy's doing right now. You got to write about one of them. See, if you've ever taken a course on goals, has anybody here ever taken a course on goal setting or anything like that? What do they tell you? You got to write down what your goals are, because you can't just think about it. When you write it, there's a connection from here to here, a connection from here to here. You can't just think about it. I know it's real estate. Has anybody here ever been stressed? No. Have you ever noticed when you're stressed out, you go out for a walk, you go out for a run, you do some push-ups, whatever, you do hot Pilates, whatever it is that you like to do, what does it do? It opens up the body, it opens up the mind. We have to exercise. Meditation, I say just go for 10 minutes because I'm not very good at meditating. As you can tell, the ADD's been good to me, sir. So what happens is, it's hard for me just to kick back and relax. And so the last one's random act of kindness. Has anybody here done an act of kindness for others? Okay, not that table so much, but the rest of you seem like you're like really nice people. So what happens is, it's actually a very selfish thing to do. When you're good to other people, don't you end up feeling better about yourself? And we're living in a land right now. I read a very interesting article, and I was talking to Greg, because I'm always trying to see what's new, and people want to know what your causes are. People want to know that you're engaged and you're trying to help make things better. And that's what random acts of kindness are all about. They don't just want that person who's sitting behind that desk going ching, 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 ching. They want somebody who's actually engaged in trying to promote things and make things better for everybody around. So random act of kindness, not only is it going to get you more business, it does what? It makes you a happier person to begin with. So we say, fine, we're good. No problem. That's the whole presentation. Ready for the panel? No, we got to go a little further. Why? Because the big man back there, Dave, says to me, no. Look. Don't tell these people to work harder. Why? Well, if you tell these people to work harder, these are the hardest working real estate agents in this area, so please don't tell them to work harder. So I said, well, what do you want me to tell them to do? Now, I don't know if you know him or not, but he did not go to Harvard. So he said, I want you to, so we're going to talk about working gooder today, okay? That's where we're going to go when we go to work gooder. Now, how do we do this? We're going to go, what's your name? Dennis. So what Dennis said, he goes, man, you talk fast. You're like an auctioneer. So I'm going to do a little auctioneer for you right here. How many of you have been in this business 20 years? 20 years, 20 years. Anybody in this business 20 years? I got 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Anybody got 25, 26, 27, 28, 29? 20. What do you got?
32.
What do you got?
35.
What's your name? Mary
Scott.
Mary Scott. Well, Greg has a good friend named Michael Scott. Maybe they know each other. So a little office reference. Sorry, Scranton, Pennsylvania. We're close by. But Mary Scott, you've been in this business for 35 years? Mary Scott's going to be giving the rest of this presentation today because Mary clearly knows more about it than everybody else that's sitting. So when Mary joined this business 35 years ago, you know what she said? Hey man, I'm going to go be a real estate agent. She said, that's the only hat that I need to wear. This is how we're going to work good, right? You said, I'm going to be a real estate agent. But Mary Scott, I got a question.
Okay.
Does anybody ask you finance questions? Does anybody ask you mortgage questions?
Yeah, occasionally.
Oh, so we got to do what? We got to wear that hat too. And we're going to wear that hat because they ask you tax questions and finance questions. But are those the only hats you ever wear? Anybody ever ask you how to fix stuff in the house? So yeah, you got to wear another hat. And you think you're done, but you're not done. Because what else do you got to do? You got to tell them what looks good within the house. Because if you get that wrong, then they're going to be really upset with you. And you're going to say, okay, that's basically what I need to do. I got that set up. But then they're going to ask you what? They're going to ask you legal questions. They look at you and they say, hey, should I sign this as joint tenants or tenants by the inheritance? Your response? You want the house, sign the stupid docs, right? I mean, that's sort of where we are. So after we go and we figure out that we have to do that, then all of a sudden, it's what? You're sitting there, it's 10 o'clock at night, you're like, oh my God, could you just get off the phone? I didn't sign up to be your best friend, but we gotta be their best friend. And you know what they're asking us at 10 o'clock at night? Hey, tomorrow we have closing. My car's in the shop. You don't mind picking me up now, do you? And after we pick them up, you think you're done, but you're not done. Why aren't you done? Because now you better know, hey, appraiser guy right there, you better know exactly how much that house is worth, because if you get that wrong, they're going to be really mad at you, aren't they? Because that's what they need to do. And as you're sitting there and you're saying, I have to figure out how much this house is worth, then you're talking to the customer, then the customer says, hey, hold on a second, man. I got to take this. You don't mind watching my kid now, do you? And after you end up watching your kid, they're walking through the house and they say, it's not fair, my brother has the bigger house, mom always loved him more, and now you're going to be their therapist. And after you're their therapist, if anybody here ever dealt with a husband and wife situation, you're their marriage counselor too. And you think you're done, and you're not done. Why aren't you done? Because you better look into that crystal ball, and you better be able to tell them, this is what's going to happen to home values, this is what's going to happen to the neighborhood, and this is how long that fridge is going to last in that house. Done? Not even close. Why? If there's a problem with settlement, not that there'd ever be a problem in your settlements, but if there's ever a problem in settlement, what happens? You gotta pull that rabbit right out of that hat and make it go well, because it's going to be your responsibility. And we think about it in the grand scheme of things. And what is your name?
Rachel.
Rachel, the average person in the United States of America is going to own how many homes within their lifetime?
5.
Rachel, the average person in the United States. Yeah, okay. See, it's called playing along with Steve. Let me see some front, Rachel. Okay, so the average person in the United States of America is going to do what? They're going to own 4 homes within their lifetime. 4 homes within their lifetime. Hold on, Rachel, watch this. The average person in the United States of America moves today, National Association of Realtors numbers, every 9 years. They're moving every 9 years. Historically, they move what? Every 6 years. Anyone will tell you that means they're staying there 3 years longer. Y'all with me? That's called math. So they're moving every 9 years. Historically, they move every 6. They're staying there 3 years longer. The average person in the United States of America moves within a 15-mile radius. They are not moving from Pittsburgh to Pensacola. They're moving from 4th Street to 8th Street. That's what they're doing. They're staying in the same general area. They're not even moving from North Hills to South Hills. The Northeast stay up, the Southeast stay down. That's what it's going to be. It's like the Bloods and the Crips, according to my friend Greg. Okay, so I guess sort of listened to that earlier. I'll be able to pick that up. So what happens is, because they're going to move every 9 years, and they're going to be within a 15-mile radius, we want to do what? Get all 4 of them, don't we? So we got to send them something every single year. So now we send them a gift every year so they'll remember us, and you think you're done, but you're not done, because they're still going to ask you the most amazing questions. How many of you get stupid questions? Be honest. Yeah. Because you're their own personal Siri. Hey, what's the weather going to be like today? Do you have windows where you live? I mean, you can figure that out yourself. So, I'm sorry, am I not sarcastic enough? So what happens is, we have to wear all 16 of these hats in everything we do every single day. How do we accomplish that? I like to accomplish that by looking at certain areas in the world. First, if you don't understand the environment that is around you, there's no way that you're going to be able to succeed in this business. Would you agree with that? Then once we get the environment, we've got to understand how the customer fits into that environment, because it's about what the customer wants. I keep saying you have to understand the environment, you have to understand the customer, you have to understand yourself, because that's the key word, and all of that is you. So how do we develop ourselves? I like to look at leadership. You're all leaders. Don't say you're not, because you're trying to accomplish something, and you need others to help you get that accomplished. That's what teamwork is. We're dealing with a lot of change. Mary Scott, have we seen any changes in the last 35 years in this business? In the last 35 months, 35 weeks, 35 days, 35 hours, right? It's constantly changing, and we also have to do what? And this is a big one. We got to be creative. Because I'm a consumer. Raise your hand if you're a real estate agent. I'm buying a house. Which one of you should I use? What distinguishes you from everybody else that's sitting in this room? I know we talk a lot about corporate branding, but we also have to look at our personal brand and how creatively to get people. How many of you are sick of how many spam emails and email lists that you're on, right? So what are you doing? Hey man, I'm gonna send out an email every Monday morning. That's not creativity. We have to figure out ways where we can better communicate and work with our customers. So we're gonna spend some time on that. That is my general framework for this morning's, or this afternoon now, presentation. Does that work for everybody, or are you sitting back there going, you're totally, it's all good, don't worry about it, we're family. So what happens is, if you're like, hey, but I thought we were gonna talk about millennials, we can. Steve, go right ahead. No, but you're like, why does he keep talking about that guy? He's filming me, what can I do? All right, so we good? This is where we go. I'm gonna blow right through that, boom, 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 I don't wanna do that. Let's jump into the environment. Steve, it's tough out there, man. Rates are crazy. One day they're up, one day they're down. They're confusing the customers. They don't know what to do. First thing is you have to understand rates are awesome right now. Rates have gone down. They did go up for a while, but they came back down. But not all of your customers know that. That's a great opportunity for you to communicate that to your customers. So we have, you don't understand, there's no inventory. I'd be doing what? I'd be out there selling if there was inventory. Why did I come here today? Free lunch. So, I got to figure out how do we deal with inventory. And the margins are tight. Everything's getting squeezed right here. I'm taking my pens home with me because that's how we need to do it now. And we're sitting here, and when Mary Scott started this business, and she's smiling back there because she goes, yeah, those margins are tight. We did what 35 years ago? You just looked at the person. You knew the person. You shook their hand, and that's how you did business. And now it's all about what? I don't know. It couldn't be all about this phone or that phone or that phone or the phone that's out in front of every single person. It's all about being digital and technology. Is it the relationship? Is it the technology? It's an interesting concept, and we're going to talk about that. And we don't even use the word customer service anymore. You know what it's called now?
Experience.
Customer experience. When you buy a house with me, it's like going to Disneyland. It's a whole experience. It's not just that one little thing. But my comment that I think is very interesting to everybody that's sitting in here right now is you're all dealing with the same thing. Everyone's got the same inventory, everybody's dealing with experience, everybody's trying to figure out how do I get up on technology. That's where we are. There's a solution. And every one of you has the same exact solution. Because this is step one in the solution. You've all used this solution in the past. You are all comfortable with this solution because you used it when you were a child. And if you're a parent, you've used it with your kids. No more tears. Let's stop crying about where we are today. Let's figure out how to move forward. First step is to say, hey, it's all good. How do I know it's good? Let me ask you a quick question. How many of you made money last year in 2018? Guess what? You have the same exact market this year. Okay? The market's going to be very similar from 2018 to 2000. Oh my God, it was so tough at the beginning of the year. You're right, January, February stunk all over the country, and now everybody's doing what? Things are moving a whole lot more right now. We'll be up by the end of the year, we'll probably be up a little bit than where we were in 2018, so you're going to be doing okay. When's it going to get better? It gets better in 2020. It gets a lot better in 2021. Why does it get better in 2 years? So the economists can reforecast it and say, sorry, we were wrong. But what they do is they try and build that 2 years in so that they're able to do that. Now, we all hear this, it's about rate. It's all about rate. We got to talk about rate. Let's talk about rate just for 1 second here, okay? As a real estate agent, here's 3 things I want you to know about rate. Number 1, rates are really good right now. They are very low. Number 2, rate is pretty insignificant when you're looking at insignificance of 1/8 of a point. If you oh my God, I can't, they went up 1/8 of a point, I'm not buying that. People don't stop. Do you realize that a $200,000 loan, 1/8 of a point is $3 a week? 1/8 of a point is $3, folks. If $3 is significant in that person's life, you're showing them the wrong house. That's where we are. 1/8 of a point should not make the difference between what you're going to be doing. There's so much more that's out there. And the other thing is, when you're looking at the first-time home buyer, they don't care about rates until it goes over 6%. Now, hey, I think I'm going to be a buyer of a home. It's time for home ownership. What are rates? They're 4%. I found the home I want. What are rates now? 4 1/8. Forget it. I'm no longer interested. Does that make any sense to anybody in this room? But it's about rates. It's not. See, what you're looking at is there are 2 million first-time home buyers that are sitting on the sidelines right now saying, I'm ready to go become a homeowner. 2 million. So don't tell me this market's dead. I'm telling you there's opportunity out there. What do we know about the 2 million? 80% of them need some type of MI protection on their loan. I was being asked earlier by Steve, he goes, what is MI? MI helps people who have less than 20% down get into a home because it changes the credit risk profile that they bring to the table. In other words, they become more attractive. Now, when I say 80% need MI, FHA is government MI, private MI is PMI. So what you're looking at is, oh, well, we should do this, we should do that. We're going to get into a loan product later of FHA and whatever, but just understand, they all fit under that same umbrella, government MI or private MI, they're still MI. You with me on that? But you're going, yeah, that's cool, so I don't understand. You got 2 million people who want to buy a house. You got this MI stuff that helps get them into the home. You have unemployment, which is, well, employment, which is awesome, or unemployment, which is very low right now. Unemployment is either 3.6 or 3.8, depending on which political party you're involved with. They'll tell you there's different numbers, but still, anytime unemployment is under 4%, 4% is considered full employment in the United States of America. So when you're below 4, that means we have total employment, okay? So here's what happens. If they all have jobs and they have these programs out there and they all want to own homes, why aren't more people buying homes today? What's the problem with inventory? That's the problem. It has nothing to do with unemployment. See, what happens is, and you just told us, it started with a D, right?
Nope.
Laura. Rachel, that's what I said. So I wanted to make sure you weren't lying. So what Rachel said to me is that you're going to own 4 homes within your lifetime, and the average person is doing what? Every 9 years versus every 6 years? Why are they staying there 3 years longer? We need the people who own homes to do what? Move out of that home, buy another home, and re-release their existing home into the wild, right? Because if that happens, then that makes our lives that much better. Would we all agree with that? Why are they not doing that? That little red dot up there that says on the right-hand side, 2.8, wage growth has been stuck for the last 7 years between 2 and 3%. That means you're not making any more money. That means you're staying where you are longer. That means what? Think about it. If I make $100,000 and I buy a house, hey, it's a nice house, and now we have wage growth at 2%. Next year, how much am I making? 102. The mortgage guy got that, right? 102. Now that I went from 100 to 102, does that mean it's now time to go buy another home? No, when we're only growing by that, it's going to take me 9 years to be able to get to that next level home. We want wage growth to go over 4%. That's the magic number. Once wage growth goes over 4%, we're going to be looking at what? People will then be moving every 6 years as opposed to every 9 years. How do you get to over 4%? If you're a Democrat, you have one opinion. If you're a Republican, you have another opinion. You can share those opinions outside of this room because we ain't getting political today, okay? Are we cool like that? Now, when I do say 4%, by the way, that's in today's world. If we go to war with Iran, my numbers are off. If there becomes a big trade war because of something that happens with Brexit, my numbers are off. I'm saying if you look at the world where it is today, we need to go over 4%. If there's a major world event, I can't do that till I know what the major event is. We cool, we cool. Oh, I heard this already this morning. Somebody was talking about bubbles. Are we going to another bubble? No, we're not. Did you record that? No, we're not. The fact that you recorded that, let me say this. The views and the opinions being expressed here today are the views and the opinions of Steve Richman. They are not the views and the opinions of Genworth Mortgage Insurance. Therefore, if you disagree with my views and opinions, please get upset with what? With me and not with Genworth Mortgage Insurance, and contact my attorneys, who happens to be me, because I'm an attorney. Okay, so that's what we're looking at right there, no problem. When you say, are we going to hit another bubble? I'm going to tell you no. And the reason is twofold. Number one, y'all know what equity is, right? There is more equity in homeowners today than at any point in American history. There is more equity for homeowners today than at any point in American history. When the bubble burst in 2007, 2008, what happened? Everybody owed more than what their house was worth, which means they had what? Negative equity. But when you have $70,000 equity in your house, you know what you're not going to do? Give up on your 70 grand. So you stay. That's number one. Number two, you remember back in 2007, 2008, those awesome people with that 520 FICO score? That 540 that we were doing? Today, the average FICO score in the United States of America is 704. Today, over 58% of people have over a 700 FICO score. When you're in the 700s, you're a better what? And you have equity, you're not going anywhere, you're paying your bills. When you're not paying your bills and you have no equity, guess what? You're a much bigger flight risk, and that's what leads to the bubble bursting. So that's where we are today. I'm cool with it. You're going, hey, that's all right. How do I track this stuff? Because you're not coming home with me, Steve. You annoy me already. You didn't have to laugh at that one. Okay, so what happens is, if you say, how do I track this? There's a website called FHFA.gov. FHFA.gov tells you what's going on with home values across the United States of America. It is updated on a quarterly basis. It will be updated in 5 weeks. I'm not coming back in 5 weeks, so what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to go look it up on your own. In 5 weeks, you're going to forget what I said, and most of you are going to go look up where? At FHFA.com. And what are you going to find there? Naked people, because that's a porn site, okay? I told you ought to go to FHFA.gov, all right? It's recorded. I sent you to the right site. So when you go to FHFA.gov, it tells you that home values are 5.1% in the United States of America. In Pennsylvania, they're up 4.9%. I don't know, does anybody go into Ohio at all? Does anybody, like, their tentacles reach out that far? But if they did and you had whatever, I have the numbers for Ohio also. It's sitting right there. And I can come in and I can plug in any city, any state that I want. It's sitting right there, boom, 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 and you have access to it. To go really, so we lay it out, whatever city you want. To get even more specific about, did this pull up the wrong? It did pull up the wrong one. Oh man, don't worry about it. I can hit any zip code I want, because is this a different zip code than where some of you live?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do Chicago just because it didn't check. You ever do that on your computer and all of a sudden the wrong one got pulled up? It got pulled up, I apologize. So don't record this part, this is my mistake. So what happens is, any zip codes you want, you can do that. I have Chicago, I apologize there. But it will show you what's going on with this is something called homefacts.com. I can give you your list price, your sales price, your home value, your home inventory, sitting right there. I can tell you how much your rent is going for. I can tell you how much money you make. I can tell you as a white collar, blue collar, no job. I can tell you who you voted for in the last election. I can tell you who's male, who's female. I can tell you how old you are. I can tell you what race you are. I can show you who's married, who's divorced. I can show you most of their houses were built before 1939, which is the same thing for Pittsburgh, because I remember I pulled up the information and I saw that one. And then I can show you what's going on with your mortgage and your rent statistics. You have all of that information absolutely for free for every zip code of the United States of America. Are those two sites really helpful for everybody that are in this room? Sure. Because what that does that I love about that is you as a real estate agent, you get asked some tough questions. Hi. Oh, anyway, so that's what we're doing. Greg's got it. We're all good. So what happens is you get asked tough questions. Hey, is there a lot of crime in that neighborhood? Are we allowed to answer that question? Are there a lot of old people in that neighborhood? Got a lot of kids in that neighborhood? Hey, you got a lot of Democrats in that neighborhood? You got a lot of Republicans in that neighborhood? We can't answer those questions, so what do? We can refer them where? To homefacts.com. Now, where do I get a lot of my information? I love these two newsletters. This one is more mortgage related. It's robchrisman.com, the #1 mortgage newsletter in the United States of America that comes out 6 days a week. It is free. It will always be free, so I suggest you take a look at that. But I assume some of you care about the economy. Anybody in this room care about the economy? Yes. That's called econ70.com. He's a guy named Elliot Eisenberg. He's out of Washington, D.C. He comes out 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. He says, this is what happened in the economy today, and he does it in 70 words or less. Really easy to read. Sometimes it'll have nothing to do with what you care about, because if what the potato crop is what's driving the economy today, that's what he's going to talk about. But most of the time, it will be relevant. Some of you are looking at me going, hey man, it's 2019. I don't read. I need to be a podcast. Well, that's Licking on Lending. Licking on Lending is the #1 mortgage podcast in the United States of America. It comes out every Monday afternoon. If you're looking for a real estate podcast, I really like Bill Reiser. He comes out with the Real Estate Sessions. That comes out basically every other week, but he has some really wonderful guests on there, and I enjoy that one a lot. If you're looking to have a general sales podcast, because sometimes we need to look outside of our industry, I do like the Nice Guys on Business. The Nice Guys on Business do a wonderful job of being real generic, of saying, hey, this is what, I went into McDonald's, this was good customer service, or I went into McDonald's and this was bad customer service, so make sure you apply that to your industry.
I have a podcast that comes out every Tuesday. Don't worry, I don't speak on it. It takes real estate experts from all over the country, and they talk for an hour, Julie, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And it's real timely topics for agents. It's got some good content. Every week is a different one. So if you're interested, let us know. And it's free. You just we'll sign you up and get an email every week. It's good.
I'm interested, I'll be a guest on it. Okay, so or maybe I won't. He's like, strike one. All right, there you go. He's like, dude, we've been well past that already. So just a couple ways to do it, but one thing, and when you're looking at the podcast and whatnot, a lot of people are cutting towards video right now. And if you're a real estate agent who's trying to up your video game, I really like Sue Pinky Benson. She's out of Naples, Florida. And hers is, hey, we're all real estate agents together. This is what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. Let's copy each other. Let's learn from each other. It's definitely community-based as opposed to, I need to beat you. And so it's a really good resource for you. She also has the video and social media for small businesses. I like that a lot because she'll post things. Okay, here's a challenge for everybody. We're all going to do our first video. If you haven't done a video, do your first video, and then we'll talk to you about it in a small group so it's more comfortable. So your name is?
Rachel.
So Rachel cuts her video and then she sends it. I'm like, Rachel, you were wearing sunglasses on your head during that. And it was reflecting and I was having trouble concentrating because I kept seeing these reflections when you would move your head. So you might not want to wear sunglasses on your head. You follow what I'm saying? It's not like, hey, you can't. I don't like video, man. I don't like the way I sound on video. I don't like the way I look on video. Hey, I got news for you. That is the way you sound, and that is the way you look to every one of us, okay? So stop telling me how uncomfortable you are. That is who you are. Let's move on with that. If this can go on video, you can go on video too. Which takes me to what? Takes me to the customer. Let's talk about the customer for a couple minutes. First thing you need to know about the customer is who's buying homes. What is their age? The average person right now is 46. Why does that say +1? Last year, according to the National Association of Realtors numbers, they were 45. We've all gotten a year older. First-time buyers make up 1 out of every 3 purchases. That's why we've already mentioned first-time buyers. Their age happens to be 32, and the repeat buyers are 55. I'm just going to throw a bunch of numbers up there real quick, and we'll look at them together. The reason we talk about millennials is because that's only an 18 to 34-year age, basically 25 to 34. It's 24%. It's 26 down to 18. What are you looking at? That's the highest home buying pipe list that's out there. That's why everybody's talking about that group. We lay them out. I'm going to go deeper into numbers, make them more meaningful to you. How do I do that? I'm going to put these 4 up here together. What are we looking at? 71% of all purchases are couples. 71% of all purchases are couples. If you remember when I showed you homefacts.com, it will tell you per zip code if there are a lot of couples there or not couples there, so you'll be able to see what's a good indicator of who's living there. 18% of all purchases are single females. Is that good? Why not? It used to be 27.
Are they part of
Single
the couples
females.
now?
I'm sorry?
Are they part of the couples now?
That's what happened.
Okay.
See, it was 27. It's not that they no longer want to purchase a home. It's you basically need 2 incomes to qualify for that home in today's market. That right? Because we don't have wage growth. They're not making the additional money, which means what? They're not able to have enough for the down payment and to be able to go forward. So what you're looking at is you're at 7. Did I just bum you out talking about couples, dude? He's like, talking about couples, I'm out of here. All right, so no problem. So we're looking at what? That. Now, single females goes to what? 18%. It was at 27. Single males has never gotten out of single digits because of a single word, fortnight. So what we're looking at in today's business is what? We have to figure out how to do. Now, everybody says, well, what happens is, it's when you have a kid, that's when you need to buy the home. We're looking at 66% of people who purchase homes today do not have a child living at home. Wow, I just heard a wow from somebody out there. Why? Because it's amazing. See, if you look at statistics, what are we talking? In 1960, the average female was 20 and the average male was 23 when they purchased a home. Today, the average female is 26 and the average, bless you, and the average male is 29. That means they're waiting 6 years later to get married and 6 years later to have kids. So what are we doing? It's not that they don't want to buy homes, it's just coming later or they're buying the home without the kid already. But what do they like? What do they like? What do they like more than the kid?
Finished basements.
Their pets,
Say again.
their dogs.
So what you're saying is millennials are buying homes because of their dogs, not their children, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's sort of where we are today. It's all about the dog. Wall Street Journal just published a look. This this whole table just stopped talking, and they're like, we're talking about our dogs, we're done. Did you notice that?
I
Like,
mean, I bought my house specifically
So did I.
in my dog with my dog in mind.
I did the same thing.
so I ain't lying, right? I bought my house because of my dog. But this is what you, as a real estate agent, need to do is not just know that they're buying the house because of their dog. You need to do something about that to connect. So what's your dog's name?
Milo.
Milo.
I know.
He's so cute. Oh my God, I love Milo. Stop. So what happens is, so Facebook page, he's got his own Instagram account. Okay, so what happens with Milo, this is what I want you to do. Don't just say, oh, I love the name Milo, because I didn't really connect. What I want you to do is go and say, hey, you need to download something called petlist.world, petlas.world. Because when you go to petlist.world, you can you're looking at this home, it will show you where you are standing, the pet-friendly locations there. And if there are none, you're not buying in that neighborhood. It'll also show you where a close vet is if you ever need anything because you're at petlist.world. It will also show you where you can go buy your dog food. It will also show you parks and beaches. And this is why I love parks and beaches. Not only does it say what local parks and beaches there are, it gives you the rules and the regulations for bringing Milo or whatever your pet's name is into that park and or beach. No dogs allowed after 6 p.m. or dogs must be on a leash or whatever the rule is, it tells you. Now what have you just done? Hi, you're looking to buy a house and your pet's important to you. I've given you a better indicator of where you should be looking. That's a great way to do it. You didn't talk about the real estate, you talked about what? What's important to them, which is their pet. Great ways to start to think about it. You look like you want to say something.
No, that's crazy. There's a website.
Well, it's great that you say that's crazy because there's a website for that. Because the reality of this situation is, we're going to talk about there's a website and stuff for everything.
For everything.
Yeah, I don't want to get right to it, but that is the direction in which we are going. Because when we look at you and them, and we try and figure it out, when it comes to sales, what are we looking at? There's two types of sales. Would you all agree with that? It's either transaction or relationship. Transaction, this is what I got, this is what it costs. So do you want it? Fantastic, have a nice day, see you later. You got relationship. I got to ask you some questions. I'm going to figure out what makes you tick, what makes you roll. I'm going to be able to do. How many of you take a transactional approach to your sales? Nobody. How many of you take a relationship-based approach to your sales? They didn't raise their hands, that's why they didn't sell. Remember I said how many of you won last year? Okay, so what happens is, which one should it be? Relationship. Because business is all about building relationships. That's wrong. It's half wrong. What are relationships built on?
Trust.
Trust. What's trust built on? The transaction. Why? If you mess up the transaction, I won't trust you and I don't want a relationship with you. Do you know why they came to you? They want you to help them buy or sell a home. Has anyone ever looked at you and said, hey, what's the listing price of that home? Have they ever said that to you? Is that a transaction-based question or is that a relationship-based question? Have they ever looked at you and said, hey, what's your view on relationships? No, they've never said that. So what are we looking at? What are we thinking? See, if you look at it, 60% of people would rather you take a transactional approach. You're like, dude, you're totally wrong. You're totally wrong. Hold on. How many ever bought a car? Anybody here ever bought a car? How many ever walked into the dealership and said, hey, I'm looking for a relationship with this guy? How many ever bought anything in a place called Amazon.com? You ever bought anything in a place called Amazon? What is your name?
Rita.
Rita, what is the last thing that you bought at Amazon.com that you don't mind telling all these people about?
A pair of shoes.
A pair of shoes. What's the name of the person who packed the shoes?
I have no clue.
What's the name of the person who delivered the shoes? You know why you love doing it? Because you didn't have to talk to anybody. So we all keep saying it's all about being in the relationship, it's about being in a relationship. I'm saying what? Amazon has taught every single person in the United States of America to be what? Transaction-based. Now, Rita, do you buy a lot from Amazon?
Yes.
I know you do. Because I don't know if you noticed, but I was up here on my computer, and when you came in, Rita, I hacked your account. Does everybody want to know where Rita shops? Do you want to know where Rita actually shops? She doesn't shop at Amazon.com. You want to see where she shops? I'm going to put it up on the screen. You ready? You ready? You ready? Don't you, Rita? Yes, you do. I didn't really, she's all upset now. I did not hack your account. She's like, I know, they would have sent me an alert. They're like, they love me, I'm Rita, hear me more. So what happens when we're doing this, please check this out. They said, here's the transaction. Did you have a good transaction? Did you have a good transaction? Would you like to have a relationship? That's what it was. What happens is they said, hey, the first thing you bought, you didn't do prime first, the first pair of shoes or whatever you bought. It's after the 6th. They said, hey, you want to have a relationship? Give us a little bit of money. We'll give you free shipping. Give us a little bit of money. We'll give you free movies. Read them. Let me hold on to your credit card. You can trust me because we're in a relationship. See, we go from the transaction to the relationship, the transaction to the relationship. We want the relationship, they want the transaction. We want the transaction to go so well that they end up winning the relationship. What do you call that? That's a translationship. Trademark pending. So how do you get the translationship? See, check this out. Every one of your customers will ask you the same exact 2 questions. Why should I do business with you? Why should I do business with your company? It doesn't matter if you're insurance. It doesn't matter if you're a lender. It doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent. It doesn't matter if you're an appraiser. Why should I do business with you? Why should I do business with your company? And the answer is not customer service. Why? Because there's not a person on the planet that has ever said, when it comes to customer service, that's not my niche. So when you say customer service, you're not saying anything original. What your customers want, everyone wants the same 4 things. They want it fast. You're an appraiser, right?
Yes, sir.
Do people say, hey, whenever you get around to it, that would be awesome? No. Okay, they're like, come on, I need it fast. I need it done today. They want it easy. Oh my God, how many documents do I have to sign? They want it done right the first time. They don't want you to make mistakes. If you're on social media, I beg of you, please proofread anything you do at least 4 times before you publish it on social media, because if you're making all kinds of mistakes by doing when you post, how are they going to trust you when you're doing all the other paperwork for them? And they need it reasonably priced. It doesn't have to be lowest price. I told you, an eighth of a point is $3 a week. Don't worry about it. And then they want it from somebody they know, they like, they trust. So when you said trust is important, I totally agree, but that comes at the end. Why? You establish trust through the transaction. You establish trust. See, if you're slow, I don't trust you. If you're difficult to work with, I don't trust you. If you make mistakes, I don't trust you. There, we have everything that we were just looking at. Which takes me, and I'm going to jump around just a little bit because I want to get to a certain section here. I'm going to hit this part, and I'm going to stop right there and then go somewhere else. Which takes me to you and leadership. When we hit leadership, what are we talking about? Well, leadership is simply the ability and willingness of others to follow you. And they'll follow you if you do what? You help them get what they want. It pretty much comes down to helping somebody else get what they want. Y'all with me on that? To get something, see, what I love is the fact that we're going to have a panel up here in a little bit. Why? Because it is really about teamwork. No one can go out and get the entire thing all by themselves. They have to do what? Buyers agents need sellers agents. Buyers agents need LOs. LOs need appraisers. Appraisers need insurance companies. Insurance companies, we all need the closer. Right? We're all sitting in this together. We all need somebody who's going to be able to market it and put it out there for us on the line, right? That's what we're looking at. So let's get into this whole teamwork concept. And since you look like you're going a little flat on me, I'm going to wake you up real quick by doing an exercise. Take a hand, take your hand, go like this with your hand, go like this with your hand. Take your other hand, take your other hand. I want you to hit your fingers, I want you to hit your fingers, I want you to hit your fingers. What happens when you hit your fingers? They move, they're flexible, they're weak. You want to know why? Because they're individuals. I want you to bring those individuals together. Come on, bring those individuals together like a team. Now when we come together like a team, what do we got? We have power, we got strength. I got the MMA fighter sitting right over there. Come on, Captain Man Bun, let's do this, all right? So we're doing what? We're sitting here, we come together, we can go through walls. What team is better than individual? Which is the corniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's true, but the question isn't, hey, is team better than individual? Of course team is better and stronger than individual. The question is what? How do you get people to come together as a team, help them get what they want? And my comment to you is, don't just look at your customers and try to get them on your team. Buyer's agents, you should look at seller's agents, and you should look at the seller's agent as someone you want on your team, and you should help them get what they want, and you should help the lender get what they want, and you should help the appraiser get. If everybody helps everybody get what they want, what happens? Everybody's that much more happy, everybody's working together, and we can just sit there and make it happen, and it's a great way to do it. And then you're gonna go, hey man, you are not a lawyer though, right? Even though you're titled. Well, I thought we had to treat everybody exactly the same. No, we don't. If somebody loves dogs and somebody's allergic to dogs, you know what we do? We don't show them the same property. Why? Because one's going to be sneezing the whole time they're walking through it. So what we do, you treat everybody professionally, you treat everybody respectfully, and you treat everybody with courtesy, but that's what we want to try and figure out when we're working within those teams. As we continue to do that, work within the team, where are we going to go with that? We're going to go right over in here into dealing with change. When we deal with change, what's the first thing? You got to stop resisting it. We got to move over to exploration. We've seen that. I got to be an early adopter. How do I get through that? Okay, look. There's 2 circles on that screen. One's red, one's blue. Stare at them for 15 seconds. They are different sizes. Different sizes, 15 seconds. Go. What's that? 5. Raise your hand if you think the blue one's bigger. Raise your hand if you think the blue one's bigger. Raise your hand if you think the red one's bigger. Okay, they're the same exact size. So what happens is, though, as we live, it's not because I'm a liar and I like doing that, but we live in a thing called trust but verify. I believe what you say, customer, but I need to verify that it's true. That's just where we are today. Would you like my jacket? I feel so bad for you right now. I'm more than happy to. It gets warm, then it gets cold, then it gets warm. It's just when it cuts on. There you go. I can do this for you. I will have the whole thing sitting right there. So, a lot of times the customers, they have these negative thoughts in their brains. And we have to help them verify, are they correct or not. And the big problem with that is people believe the negative faster than they believe the positive. And they hold on to the negative longer. What do I mean? Well, when we think about, there's a woman named Allison Ledgerwood. She's awesome. I'm going to divide this room in half. Is that okay with y'all for a second? And she walks over and she says, hey, look, group 1, here's what's going on. There's this new medical procedure, and it has a 70% success rate. And so they all said, hey, man, that's awesome. 70%, that rocks. Hey, group 2, there's this new medical procedure, and 30% of the time it fails. Oh, man, that sucks. Right? I say positive, they go positive. She didn't stop there. She's smart. She goes, hey, group 1, remember me? Hey, remember I told you there's a 70% success rate? That's actually a 30% failure rate. So what did they do? They all switched to negative. Hey. I was here like 8 seconds ago talking about that medical procedure. You do realize a 30% failure is actually a 70% success rate. What did they all do? No, they stayed negative. They stayed negative. And the power in that is the fact that the minute they have a bad experience, a bad thought, or a bad whatever, that sticks with them during the entire transaction. So we have to, if they see the word mold anywhere on anything, what do they say? I'm out. It could say mold has never been found here. And what do they say? Why'd they even mention it then? I mean, that's sort of where they are. Mold is a 4-letter word. I don't want to see that, so we can't those words are very, very important in the way that we look at that. So that's just some of the ways that we want to try and figure out how we're going to continue to move into that positive direction. And the change that's coming, I just want to say, we're totally working with this crazy thing right here. Right? Why? Because, look, you all have them sitting right in front of you. I have a question. How many of you sleep with something that looks just like this within arm's reach of your bed? You know what that's called? A relationship. Most of you touch this before you touch your spouse in the morning. That's called a problem. So what I need you to do is manage this as a relationship, not as a device. Why? We talk to it and it talks back to us. So what we need to do is be able to move this and function with this the best way that's possible. And the way that we're going to do that is talk about a couple things that you can do on your phone right now. Question: how many of you wish you were better at knowing people's names? Everybody in this room, folks, make this your relationship builder. There's an app for that, and that's called Name Shark. All you have to do for Name Shark is what? You get the person's picture. After you get their picture, you put their name next to their picture, and it will play games with you and say, who's this, who's this, who's this, until you get it all right, and you know everybody's name, and then you're going to be okay. So you just have to walk up to somebody and say, let's play a game. No, don't do that. They get very upset if you do that. All right, don't do that. But everybody's picture's somewhere on Facebook, LinkedIn, your real estate agents, your pictures are all over. You do that and you play the game, you'll know every person's name. After you know their name, what's the thing? Well, I gotta give a presentation. I hate giving presentations. How do I do that? There's an app for that. It's called Memorize Anything. What's Memorize Anything? Upload your script or your presentation to your phone, read it off of your phone. What ends up happening? It records it for you, and therefore when you play it back in your own voice, you will remember it that much more quickly. That's called memorize anything. Great for you in school. The other one is what? What are we looking at? There's an app. Look at me right now. Look at me. Look at me. Don't look at the screen. Look at me. You can go like this. And it tells you the dimensions of the room you're standing in. That's called what? That's called Magic Plan. Magic Plan says here's the dimensions of the room you're standing in, and you can drag and drop and make that boom. Go right there so you'll know exactly what the dimensions of that room is. Pretty cool? Pretty cool. You know what else? It's done in 3D. So that means you can also know how high you go. You can now go to wayfair.com. You can download a coffee table, put it in that room, and see what it's going to look like because you did it all electronically. Then you got something called Homesnap. What's Homesnap? I've gotten some nods out of Homesnap. It's pretty cool, right? You get to walk up to any house in the United States of America, you click on it, and it will tell you this is what year that house was built, this is what the square footage is, this is how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, when it last sold, how much it last sold for, and what schools it goes to. For those of you that have already seen this before, they updated it just a few months ago. We're in Pittsburgh, which means someone in this room likes hunting. Is there anybody in this room that is a hunter? Are you a hunter?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good idea to kill things on other people's property?
Not usually.
Not usually. Depends what time it is. So what happens is, right, no, you shouldn't do that. Well, there used to be a hunting app that would say this is where this property ends because you can't go outside the boundaries. They took that technology, they put it here, so you can now show the person literally where their property would end of the home and the property that they're looking at. So instead of saying it's a third of an acre, you could say it stops right here. How cool is that? Sitting right out there for it? No, I wouldn't build a fence based upon that, okay? But you're still gonna have a couple feet, but pretty much where it is. So that's what we're looking at there. This I love. When you're coming up with the new way to write thank you notes, it's called Postogram. Why? I like Postogram because we've all become visual. We're all talking, it's better to see things than just read things. Nobody's using words anymore. Postogram says you go to settlement, you take a picture of the husband and wife. Here, you two, high five each other. Go. Click, and I take that picture. They just bought a house together. They hug. Or you got the kids playing on the front lawn. Take the picture, submit it to Postogram, and then they print it on a postcard, and then you say, what do you want to put on the back? Congratulations on your new home, and it mails it to them. How cool is that? I'll hold on to a picture of me and my wife a lot longer than a handwritten thank you note. Touch note is the same thing, it's just bigger. Now, one of the things that we already said was a lot of your houses, and I know that was Chicago, but the same thing in Pittsburgh, were built before 1939, right? So that means they need what? Paint. Remodeled. How many of you have trouble going, hey, I'm thinking of repainting this room. Here's a little, a paint chip. Do you think this room would look good this color? How many of you have trouble with a paint chip figuring out what a whole room's going to look like? Everyone in this room? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you paint tester. Paint tester says you take a picture of the room, you take a picture of the paint chip, and it repaints the room that color so you can see what it's going to look like. How cool is that? Wait, you want to get really, really cool? You go back to what? Magic Plan. It will tell you how many coats of paint it takes to paint that room. So now you know how many coats and you know what color it is. You're using the technology to make it happen. Now, most of you probably have Around Me on your phone. Yeah. How do you usually use it? I don't know where to eat, so I hit Around Me, and hey, that's where I'm going to lunch. What I want you to do is use Around Me on your customer's phone. See, instead of having them drive all around, you can say, Around Me, within the 3-mile radius, tell me every gas station, every restaurant, every library, every basketball court, and every dog park that is here. And what will happen? Instead of riding around, I'll tell you exactly where each and every one is. Have them use it for that. Now, do y'all know Julie? Yes. She's like awesome, isn't she? Yeah. Well, Julie and I were here earlier, and we were setting stuff up, and she said, Steve, you got to show them this app. It's my favorite app. So this is Julie's favorite app. Okay, well, let me ask you a quick question. How many of you have ever been to a bar? How many of you, when you're in, you've never been to a bar? Come on, buddy, we got to go out and have a conversation. Poor guy, man. So, right, yeah, we've all been to a bar. So, have you ever been to a bar and they got 6 TV screens sitting up there, and you want to hear what they're saying on TV 4, but they're playing the volume from TV 1, or they're playing music or something like that? Does that happen all the time? Yeah. Julie said, check out this app. It's called what? It's called Tunity. You take your phone, you aim it at the TV, you click on it, and it plays the volume from that TV out of your phone. See, they like your app. You click the volume from that TV out of your phone. It has nothing to do with mortgages and real estate, but it is pretty cool. Think about sharing that with your customers.
At home, you don't have that problem, you see.
That's why he doesn't go.
That's why I don't go to the bar.
Well, some of you are married people. And some of your spouses say, well, hey, I'm trying to sleep, turn that TV off. Now what can you do? You can put your headphones in, you can turn the volume off, you click Tunity, and you do what? You're watching your show. See, you guys came here to talk real estate, I'm saving marriages. Okay? And that's what we're doing here today, so everything is good. So those are a couple quick apps. I want to show you, these are quasi-apps, quasi-websites. So I want to go through a couple quick things with you, and then we're going to wrap up with creativity, then we'll take a break, and then we're going to bring everybody up for the panel. So we're hitting our timeline exactly where we should be. So what we're looking right now is, if you're involved in marketing, and marketing is important to you, and printing and stuff like that, this is called remove.bg. I love remove.bg. Remove.bg says you go to either the website, I don't care if you go there on your phone, I don't care if you go there on your computer, it doesn't matter. Go to remove.bg, select a photo. I selected a photo. That is my daughter Isabel. That is one of the 3 loves of my life, my son, my daughter. I click her, I go remove BG, select Isabel, boom, and it comes up like that. Within 2 seconds, it strips the background. I can now do anything I want. I have that with no background, so I can place her in front of the Eiffel Tower if I wanted. I could put a different picture behind her. I could just put the color green behind her if that's what I wanted. I can do anything I want. It helps your marketing go that much quicker. The other thing I already said was, man, I'm sick of all these spam emails that I'm. There's a wonderful site called unroll.me. Unroll.me. When you go to unroll.me, it's totally free. It says, what's your email address? It scrubs your email, and it says you have 127 subscriptions that you may not have signed up for. It will list the 127. It will say keep or discard. So you say, don't want it, don't want it, don't want it, keep it, don't want it, keep it, right? And therefore, it allows you to manage what stuff is coming into your inbox. And we used to get junk mail in the actual mailbox. We're getting junk mail in our email box now. This limits that for you. Which takes us down here to creativity. Now, oh man, I'm not creative. Yes, you are, yes, you are, yes, you are. How do I know that? Creativity is simply joining together 2 or more dissimilar concepts. It's joining together 2 or more dissimilar concepts. What do you mean? Well, if you say, how am I going to do this? And you have an idea for something that could be so cool, that's just a fiction. It doesn't exist. And the minute you bring that fiction to somebody's attention, what do? They add an R and they say, you can't do that, and that's friction. It's usually a lawyer. Never say this to a lawyer, can I do this? What do you say to a lawyer? How do I do this? The answer to can I do it is no. Why? Because everything exposes us to risk. How do I do it? Now, oh, well, how do you do it? I want you to change the I to an A, and you can do a fraction of what you want to do. So I went from fiction to friction to fraction. I made one little change. All you got to do is drop the FR, and what happens? Now you got action. So you go fiction, friction, fraction, action, and you can make things happen. Now, one of the things that we do know is that what? We like Milo more than we like anything else, right? Milo rocks. We do know that. So since we've already learned that, what can we do creatively? There is a what? There's a woman who's in California who happens to be a real estate agent. Once a month, she does a small dog meetup at a park. So everybody brings their dogs into the park, and what does she have there? She has literal doggy bags with her name and information on it. She has dog treats with her information on it. How many of you would like your customers to want your actual swag? Most of the time, we're like, please, do you want my squeezy ball? No, we're stressed enough, I don't need another squeezy ball. But what happens is, when we're giving them dog treats and your dog loves that treat, aren't you going to say, can I take 2 more home for Milo? Of course. Now they're taking your information with them wherever they go. She never says the word real estate, but what she cares about is your dog, and what ends up happening, boom, your information gets passed out. If you have that kid that's living at home playing Fortnite, Steve, you know what Fortnite is?
Yeah.
I hope so. Okay, so Steve, yeah, so you have that kid playing Fortnite, what's going to end up happening, right? What we do with them, why shouldn't we go get them what? Go get them a drone. If they can film, if they can put your phone on the drone and they can take aerial footage of the property that you're trying to sell, there's proven that makes it sell that much more quickly and actually for more money. That's my computer bag. Is that good marketing? He's saying no. That's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. What do you think? I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad, I don't think it's good. Here's the problem with it. It doesn't talk about me. It talks about what? Genworth. What do I want people to do? Do I want people to call Genworth or do I want people to call me? I want you to call me. So there's a problem with that. That's brand recognition, but it doesn't have anything about me. This is my bag today. I'm a scuba diver. I get stopped at least once a day when I'm flying in an airport. Somebody goes, "Oh my God, you dive?" Yes, I do. Where do you dive? I typically dive in Florida on the East Coast between Jupiter and Key Largo. I find there's great diving there. Really? I was thinking of buying like a second home and I wanted to be near good diving. Do you think I should buy a home there? Yeah, I think that's a great place to do that. What do you do for a living? I'm in mortgages and real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never had a single person come up to me in an airport and go, "Oh my God, you're with Genworth? I have an MI question for you." It's never happened. I'd love it to happen, but it's never happened. Every single day, somebody wants to talk to me about diving. I literally have gotten business because of this stinking bag. Now, did I just say to each person, "So you're saying we all have to put dive patches on our bag?" No, that is not what I said. What I said was you have to figure out what makes you individual that is interesting to others. We need to what? Communicate that out so they will want to have the conversation with us. Speaking of having a conversation with us, what questions, thoughts, comments, concerns do you have about anything we've talked about today, anything we haven't talked about today, or anything you wish we had talked about today?
I like that all.
You liked it all?
I did.
I like you, Rita. Okay, so what happens is we're going to stop for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, go get more cake and pie.